Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, Childhood Finds, if you haven't joined me here before, and today we're going to be doing a bit different of a video. So this isn't going to be a haul video or a research video or what sold video, so fair warning. This is just going to be kind of a quick topic. If you know me, it probably won't end up being quick, but I'm going to try. And it's just going to be the pros and cons of being what I would call an everything seller. So for me, I'm kind of if it isn't nailed down, I'll try to sell it. And what kind of spurred bringing on this video is I've had some comments saying, you sell a big variety, and I see that as a compliment, so thank you. I enjoy selling a variety, but sometimes that's not the best business model. And I just want to talk about pros and cons of that and why I do it. And in turn, this is going to give some pros and cons of being a niche seller as well. And in the comments, I would really love to start a dialogue. If you can if you're a seller, if you're a person that kind of has a special area, if you're kind of a niche or specialty seller, or if you are very broad. And then I also want you to add if you have any other pros and cons that I didn't bring up, either for being a niche seller or being a everything seller. So let's go ahead and get started with a couple things. Okay, so one pro I think of being an everything seller, and when I do these pros and cons, it's not going to be all inclusive. There's always going to be exceptions, so please, don't get too sassy. There's going to always be exceptions, but I found in general they kind of ring to be true. So one is my store doesn't have a season. So, if it's spring, I've got garden decorations. If it's winter, I have holiday decorations. I've got winter jackets. If it's fall, you want a pumpkin spice candle. If it's summer, I've got beach toys. So I have something for every season. And so some niche sellers, so say you specialize in holidays, maybe Halloween and Christmas, vintage Halloween and Christmas. Yes, that stuff sells all year round, but it's going to sell less during the off season. Sorry, is what I was trying to say. So it's going to sell less. And that's not going to be true for every niche seller. If you're a media seller, that's probably not going to ring true. It's going to probably just be pretty steady. And so that's just something to consider, that when one thing is down for me, another thing can be up. And it makes me feel better to have that kind of safety net for myself. And let's see, a big con. This is going to be a big con for many people, and it's a con for me. I need boxes. Every size of box. I right now I have 6x6, I have 5x5, I have 8x8s, I have 10x10s, I have 16-12-8s, I have 18-12-6s, I have all the priority boxes. I have all the boxes. And not just that, I have all the bubbles mailers, and I have all the poly mailers. Right? I have at least 4 sizes of bubble mailers and at least 4 sizes of poly mailers. So that's definitely a downfall. So if you're, say, a clothing seller, mostly what you're going to need is poly mailers. And if you don't need that, you'll probably have certain size boxes you carry. But for the most part, you don't need everything. I need everything. And I keep all of my extra boxes I get. Amazon, Chewy, those people, if I order from them, I'm keeping those boxes. And so that can be a downfall, because storing that is a pain in the patootie. So I definitely consider that a con. So let's see. This one's kind of what keeps me doing what I do, even though there are a fair amount of cons to being an everything seller, is knowledge. So this is going to be multifaceted. Knowledge could be a pro and a con. So with a niche, you tend to know everything about your subject. So your research time that you're spending is much less, which can be a big deal when you're looking at your kind of hourly rates for your items. And then if you sell everything, you know a little bit about everything, but you're not really specialized in anything. So sometimes you spend more time than you should. So you're hourly average goes down because you're spending a lot more time researching. So the reason it's a pro for me, this is personal, is I like learning something new every day. So even with all the cons of being an everything seller, learning something new every day is the biggest deal to me. I would not keep doing this if you told me I was only going to be able to sell clothing. Well, especially clothing. If you told me I was only going to be able to sell shoes or holiday or even books that I absolutely adore. If you told me I only could sell books, I wouldn't want to do this anymore. It takes a lot of the fun out of it for me because I enjoy learning about new items and being able to share that knowledge. So for me, it's a pro that I get to spend a little more time researching, but for many people it is not. It comes down to time is money, and that is going to be time that if you were a niche seller, you wouldn't have to spend. Okay, another pro that I see personally is I have more options, and that will be when I'm going to yard sales and thrift stores and estate sales and all those things. I have better chances of getting items. So if I'm just a person that's buying one type of item, I might go to many garage sales or thrift stores and not come away with anything. And so, have you guys seen Finding Nemo? And there's the scene with the seagulls, the mine seagulls. If you know what I'm talking about, I want you to just think about all those seagulls being video game sellers in my area.
Mine.
All right, I'll talk. He went to the fishing ground.
So if I tried to do video game reselling in my area, I would starve. And that's okay. That just means I can find other things. I found some video games by chance, and I'm always excited about them because I love them, but I'm not going to go out of my way to find them at this point. There's just too much competition. So I'm able to find a lot of different things that I can sell. So it's kind of a multifaceted pro. The pro can be that I have many choices at sales and I can adapt to my area. So in my area, if all of a sudden, like right now, all the thrift stores are pricing up plush that I was sourcing during the winter. So now I'm gonna have to adapt and find something else. So I've started to add clothing into my into my sourcing, and that's helping because the plush, what they're doing is they're pricing it all up and they're writing all over the tag, so they're really kind of defacing the item and taking some of that value out. So you can still find good stuff in there, which I have, but it's just not as common now because they are pricing it up. So I'm able to adapt to my area. So I started to add clothing and I've started to add jewelry this year. So I think it's helpful to be able to just kind of go with the flow. There are just certain areas where you're not going to be able to find certain items. And so that's kind of why I do it as well. And then back to at thrift stores and garage sales, etc., I'm able to go into all the different areas of the garage sale. So I don't have to be the person that's always asking, do you have video games? Do you have antique bottles? Do you have this? Which, you know, sometimes I'll ask certain things at sales that I might be interested in, but typically I'm able to look at all the items they have and I'm typically able to find something. And I'm not coming away empty-handed quite as much as I used to. I mean, there's still many sales that we go to and then we walk back into the car and then go to the next one and repeat the process. But it gives me more of an opportunity to find items that I can make a living on. This can be a con, for sure, is I am not going to get as many repeat buyers. My store is chaos. Let's just tell it what it is. It's kind of chaos because it's all sorts of stuff. So I'm not going to get as many repeat buyers, whereas if I was specialing in ephemera, media, things like that, people would definitely start saving me and watching me and possibly purchasing more things in the future. I do have some repeat buyers because I do have a little bit of specialties. And so like me, books are a big thing, records. I also have a lot of antique frames. So those kind of things I do have some followers on, but it's still not the majority of my business. I mean, probably all of my specialties add up to about 30 to 35% of my business. And the other 60, 65, 70% is all the chaos. So I'm not going to get as many repeat buyers, not going to get as many followers on my store. But if we look on the other side, pros can be I'm getting more different buyers into my store. I've had many people that just buy the most random collection of items from my store, whereas they wouldn't have been able to find that in another store because, you know, who's got my Dutch oven and my, let's see, pair of shorts and has a Pokemon guide? You know, who has all that I can just cram into one box? So there's also that kind of pro to it where some buyers can buy the chaos. They enjoy looking through it and finding different items to put together. But for the most part, niche sellers are going to be getting that repeat business, which is really great for a business. I've had my repeat buyers have ticked up this year, and it's been great to have some repeat buyers. I love having that rapport with them, but that's just never going to be a big part of my business. So niche sellers absolutely have that pro, that they can make more of a rapport with buyers and make more sales. So there's that one. Another pro, easier for me to grow my inventory levels. So this is going to be a debated topic where they will say that it's not, you know, it's the quality of your items, not the quantity, which yes, absolutely. But I'm just saying in general, it is easier for me to grow my store because I have so many different options that I can source from. So I do like that. You know, there's a limited number of other things. If I specialized in records, it would be that I'm having to really, really actively search those out to continue to make my store grow. And so that can be, I think, probably pro and con, because again, quality over quantity. I got a lot of quantity. I do have some quality, but I get it. So, but for me, it's a pro that I'm able to really grow my store with the plethora of random assortment of items I have. One con I think is really important to look at is I can't say this for sure, but I do believe everything sellers are more likely to mislabel items. And why I say that is because it's harder you don't specialize as much, so you're not able to identify reproductions, originals, fakes, all of that. So like if you I will not touch designer bags, like Coach, all of that. I won't touch it. I couldn't even begin to authenticate that those are real. And I don't want to begin to authenticate that those are real. And so I choose not to source them because I don't want the chance of giving something that's not true to my buyer. And so I think it's more likely for us everything sellers to mislabel because we don't have all of the knowledge of a niche. So sometimes we find something else, we find another listing and we go, that's what I have, but maybe that seller misrepresented it. So then we continue the cycle. Whereas if you're a niche or specialty, you know that that's mislabeled. So I think that's something to consider. I can't say that's completely true, but I know that I am more likely to mislabel, and I have in the past because I don't really know. I just recently mislabeled a hat because I don't know sports. I know zero about sports. So I saw a logo and I'm like, that kind of looks like my minor league baseball home team. And it's not. It's wrong. It's actually a major league team, but I had no idea. And some person messaged me a little sassily and let me know. But I still appreciate them letting me know because I made an assumption and I just listed it. And I try not to do that, but it happens sometimes. So I definitely think that's a con. It's more likely to happen. It just is. This pro kind of goes with the other ones about sourcing, where I can adapt again. And this is, I can source in areas that are less frequented by resellers. So I really started selling books because a lot of resellers in my area think those are trash. And that's fine. You know, they have their specialties. I have mine. They have their loves. I have mine. So my loves definitely lie in books. So I look at books at every sale. I don't find a lot because it's a lot of the James Patterson, Tom Clancy, Clive Cussler, etc. But I started to source that because I noticed it was an area that people don't really look at. I started to source plush a lot more because it's not an area that people look at. So that kind of goes with pros on the other ones. And I think that's the main ones I kind of wanted to talk about. I'm looking. Oh, I have one more con. And this is going to be a big one. You need many types of storage areas. So I have breakables, I have clothing, I have plush, I have kitchenware, I have all of it. And it's not so easy to store. I couldn't just start a tote system because I physically could not put a breakable in a tote. It would make my heart stop thinking about rummaging around in there with a breakable. So you have to have bookshelves and all sorts of things, cubbies. It definitely plays into needing more space. You can probably see my room kind of behind me. It's chaos. No, I can't even call it controlled chaos. I mostly know where everything is. When I move into a bigger place, storage system will be better, but it isn't right now. So I think that's a con. You need a lot more places to put stuff. If I was just a toy seller, and I would probably just do a tote system because for the most part, those aren't going to be breakables. And if they are, I can do a special tote for that. But I mean, I have lamps, I have artwork, I have antiques. I mean, I have everything. So you got to have a lot of different places to put it. So I hope this video kind of helps you think about what you might want to be if you're thinking about becoming a reseller, or just thinking about it if you're already one and you've been an established one. Please remember to put in the comments what you do, if you specialize or if you are an everything seller. And please write if you can think of any more pros or cons for either side, either being a niche or an everything seller. And just put those down in the comments so we can kind of all see and learn from it. And I promise the next video will probably be another research video, so do look for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.